Hey guys, instead of mugging up which lesion causes which heart murmur, I'm going to teach you the concept of it so that even if you try to forget, you won't be able to. Let's get started. The major heart sounds are S1 and S2. S1 is famously known as lub and S2 is famously known as dub. The cardiac cycle is represented as this. Now you can see that S1 and S2 are closer than S2 and S1 because S1 to S2 is ventricular systole and S2 to S1 is ventricular diastole. Diastole is the feeding time of the heart and the systole is when the heart feeds to the other body parts. Therefore, diastole takes longer than systole. If this much is clear, we can move on to the murmurs. I have written the pathway of which the blood flows and we are going to see what happens in an event of ventricular systole. Before going into that, I want you guys to remember that stenosis is narrowing of the valves of the heart and regurgitation lesion is when the blood flows backward. With that in your mind, let's come back to this. When the ventricle contracts, the blood moves from the ventricle to the major vessels. Isn't that right? So this is the normal blood flow. Now this line represents the aortic and pulmonary valve. In any event, be it systole or diastole, when the normal blood flow does not occur, that's when we hear a murmur. Remember, abnormal blood flow will cause murmurs. Now can you tell me which lesion is going to obstruct the blood flow here? Come on, think a little bit. Which lesion in these valves will obstruct the blood flow? Yes, you're right. It is a stenotic lesion. Therefore, aortic stenosis or pulmonary stenosis will cause a systolic murmur. Easy. We are almost done. Now, looking into these two valves, the mitral and tricuspid valves, which is present between the atrium and the ventricles. Regarding this, what is abnormal, do you think? The backflow of the blood is abnormal during a ventricular systole. And what did we learn? Backflow of the blood means a regurgitation lesion. Therefore, in the mitral and tricuspid valves, regurgitation lesion will cause systolic murmur. Now let's list out all the lesions we learned from the ventricular systole, shall we? Aortic stenosis, pulmonary stenosis, mitral regurgitation and tricuspid regurgitation are the valvular lesions which causes systolic murmurs. And you can simply mug this up, but we saw why it causes a systolic murmur. And I also want you to remember one more thing, that is ventricular septal defect. This one causes a systolic murmur too because of the pressure change and everything. So with that, we have the causes of systolic murmur. Since we all have an attention span of a goldfish, I'll be doing a part 2 on this, where I talk about the diastolic murmurs. Trust me, if you understand this systolic murmur, diastolic murmurs will just take only a minute to grasp. I'll leave the link for the part 2 in the description and in the pinned comment once it's uploaded. I really hope you understood this topic. Thank you.